Discover your inner goddess and live up to your highest value and most abundant potential. Welcome to Grateful Goddesses, a podcast that empowers you to unleash your inner goddess and take the leap of faith to live your best life. Your guide, Karen Pulver, joins her fellow goddesses in soulful conversations about gratitude, personal growth, authentic living, and a bevy of topics affecting women today. Let's start the show with your host, Karen Pulver.
Chicago-born, raised, and based artist Nigel Holt, originally Hollywood Holt, now Holt, HXLT, kicked off his career as a party rapper hip to Chicago's bounce music scene. As Hollywood Holt, he became an established name within the Chicago rap scene amongst childhood friends like Chance the Rapper, Vic Mensa, Virgil Abloh, and his cousin Mano, who for a while was Kanye West's DJ. Nigel Holt evolved into Holt, an act that was first dubbed a hipster rapper before he became the first post-punk vocalist, signed to Kanye West's label Good Music. Originally known as Hollywood Holt when he performed party rap over bounce music, he began to focus on his love of Bad Brains, The Clash, and post-punk, and became the more strange, less b-boy Holt. That name changed to Holt in 2015 when he posted a series of tracks to the web. Holt's swift change in direction might seem abrupt, but he's a man of many talents, exemplified through his past work as a professional breakdancer and achievements like producing Beyonce and Andre's 3000s cover of Amy Winehouse's Back to Black for the Great Gatsby soundtrack. It was this cover, not his rapping, that caught West's attention in 2013, eventually leading to Holt signing with Good Music. Holt lives in Chicago with his wife Jackie and son Lennox, who is like a mini-me to Holt, learning guitar and blasting out tunes. Holt continues to be in the flow with his creativity and music. Welcome everyone to Grateful Goddesses, and I want to know something. Do you feel like you are in your flow? Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Are you doing what you're passionate about? Have you tried several things and maybe you felt discouraged, but you've pushed yourself to go forward to do what you love? Well, our guest today, Nigel Holt, otherwise known as Holt, has done that, and he is in the flow. So welcome. Nigel, should I call you Nigel Holt or Holt? What do you want to be called?
You can call me whatever you like because we're friends. But my artist name is Holt.
Holt. So Holt, a.k.a. Nigel, how did we meet?
My government name, yes.
How did we meet? I knew I'd get a laugh out of you.
You know what? This is fine. I'll tell this hilarious story. So we met because I worked for a bar mitzvah company, and a bar and bar mitzvah company, and I was a host. And you guys were interviewing me to host your son's bar mitzvah. But it was funny because also at the time I was throwing all these major parties in Chicago at this club called Buddha Lounge. So we were like booking people like MIA before she was big, and just really big acts that are very big now, and then like really classic big acts. And so that was my day job, was being a host at bar mitzvahs. And we met, and your crazy husband and I got into like a full-blown music debate about great bands, which was amazing. And he was just such a cool guy. And you were like all fashioned out and fresh. And it was just very, you didn't see that often at the job. Like you just saw like normal parents. So you guys coming in like looking all fresh and talking about cool music. I was like, these guys are cool. So we ended up just chatting a bunch, which was nothing. You know, after that, I just was like, oh, those guys were cool. But then later that night, we booked Peaches, the artist, at Buddha Lounge. And I go to the party where we booked Peaches, who is very well known for like having what you would say like a very provocative live show. Like, you know, it's definitely not safe for work. So we're at the party and all these kids are there. It's like this like cool scene. And I was like, what are y'all doing here? I just talked to you today.
Or mitzvah parents.
I was like, don't you? I was like, this is the last place you want to see me at. And then it turns out you're best friends with Peaches or whatnot. And it was to me, it just solidified that y'all were crazy and I needed to be friends with you because I'm like, you maneuver like, normal stand-up citizen adult people, you know what I mean, with kids, but like you're just into everything that's cool. And I love that. So I was like, it was just fresh. So we became friends from that day forward.
We became friends and you did such a fantastic job breakdancing at my son's bar mitzvah, spinning on your head. And then subsequently my daughters, and you came to our other daughter.
Yeah, I went from working to being invited.
To being our friend, and we love our friendship. I would like to invite our featured goddesses on. They don't know that story, and there's
loved that story.
Yeah, we have the most unorthodox relationship ever. Because this was before I was like had any type of fame or success in the music business whatsoever. So they literally, they would come to my shows and they'd be like people would be looking like, who is that? I'm like, they're just my friends. Or I'll talk about them like, oh yeah, my friends are coming through. And it's like this older white couple and they're like, oh, okay, I didn't expect that. I'm like, yeah. But then as soon as you talk to them, you're like, oh yeah, I see why. Like they're just fresh. Some people just understand like life, you know what I mean? And they do.
Yeah. But, I feel like you really have to get to know a person. It's not about like what they do, who they like, you just have to really get to know your soul. And I felt
the generalized idea of like, oh, well, you can't be friends with them. They're not in your age range or they're not in the style of life you're in or whatever. Like that doesn't matter. It's based off of personality and if your personality's clear.
Although you did tell me once when we went out to dinner, you said, okay, your look right now, we got to change it up. You need to change this, do that. You don't remember. No, it was good because you get me thinking because that's something that I want to ask you. You're really into style.
Yes.
You love clothes and shoes.
Right. I'm like wearing a basic t-shirt today.
Of course. And your jewels and your teeth. And your teeth.
I don't have my teeth in today either. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because you have some grills. You have a lot of passions. Can you tell us about them all?
I have too many. I don't know which ones to tell you.
Okay. Well, you like fashion.
Yes, I'm huge on fashion. I helped start streetwear. I make music for a living. But fashion, I'm one of those people who I believe if I see somebody else do it, that means I can do it. If a human person can do something physical, mentally, anything, if I see that it was possible by a human being, that means I can do it. I just have to try it. So I've tried and done anything that I've ever liked. Like, I didn't have the capabilities when I was younger. So once I discovered the fact that I could try anything, I try everything. And so in that space, it's not, a lot of people will be like, oh, don't be the best. Don't try to do everything. Be the best at one thing. And I don't believe in that, but definitely do the thing that you like to do the most. So I was doing a million things. Like I wouldn't just perform at a show. I threw the party. I set the venue up. I invited, I would perform at my own parties because I was good at doing all of these things because it's easy to become good at something if you practice it a lot, right? So I was one of those people that people were like, oh, you think you can do everything? Like I can do everything, but not because I'm like better or, have some super talent. I just practice and try everything. But then it got to a point where I was like, all right, bro, what are you going to do though? So I was like, what are like a couple of things that I love to do that I never get tired of? Like if I was $1 billion and didn't have to do anything, what would I be doing? I would still be designing clothes because I'll get a bottle of wine, put some music on and just sit in my sketchbook. I just enjoy designing. It's just fun to do. And then obviously making music. So those are the two things that I do the most. I do everything, but I do anything. It's not that I do everything. I make sure everything gets done. So it's like, I'll be like, hey, I need to make a giant sign for this drop. Can you do it? Oh, no, it's not going to be ready for a month. Okay, then I'll do it. Like, it has to get done. That's all I care about.
Well, you did the decor for your own wedding.
Yeah, I did. Yes, I did.
Which, by the way, was beautiful.
Thank
So
you.
Camille has some questions for you.
Please.
No, I love hearing about all of this because I come from an artistic family, and a lot of times they do kind of make you want to stick to just one thing. But
Right.
sometimes when you're creative, you're not just good at one thing. So when you realize, like you said, that the way that you discovered what were the two passions for you to stay the most focused with was whatever you felt like kind of got you jumping in your jeans in the morning type of thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like outsiders sometimes will try to make you pigeonhole into certain things. And I know that
Yes.
Karen was telling us that you had worked with Amy Winehouse and as well with some other rappers, and you mentioned MIA. In an industry that kind of promotes certain things, how do you skate around it? Because I know you've experienced some loss as well with drugs and as well with violence. How do you skate around it?
I pardon my French, but I just say fuck all that shit. Like, I don't like, and what I mean is not like the term, not in the terms of like these people or anything, but I've always been too self-aware, if that makes sense. Like when I was a kid in grade school and we were learning about Christopher Columbus, I'm like, no, we're not going to use this in life. Why do we have to learn this? This is trash. Like, I can't wait to never come here again. Like, I literally used to think, like, I can't wait till I'm grown and I never got to go to school again. I hate this place. But it was because I didn't go to a school that was, like, catered to me. Like, I didn't know that art high school even existed until I was, like, 30. I was furious. Like, I didn't have those scenarios. So I've always been in this space where, you know, you have to understand that when somebody tells you something, if it's not based off of their profession, it's usually an educated guess or an opinion, right? And most people give you an opinion. They're trying to help you, but it's not necessarily always help. Like they're trying to make sure you're okay. So if they don't believe that you're good enough, they'll tell you, oh, maybe you should be like a host or something, because they want you to do the same thing because they want you to succeed. But in the business like this, you have to literally gangster your way into anything and everything that you want. And the more knowledge that you have on the things that you love to do in the industry, the easier it is. Like, I didn't, you know, it wasn't like I was like, I'm going to try to work diversely with artists. This is just what I play. I know, rap, I sing, I do all of these different elements of music where I can shed light and people like my style of how I do it. So, you know, the Amy Winehouse thing wasn't like, oh, I called Amy Winehouse because we were homies. Like, I redid her song because I loved the song and I felt like it just needed some gangster drums on it, right? And then it took off, right? And like, in working with other rappers and whatnot, I just can walk in a room because I've tried everything. I understand everything. And that's kind of what it is. It's like, you can put me in a room with any artist and I can watch and listen to your style and know where the pockets are that need a little something in it, right? I can validate or make it more real than it is, if that makes sense. But yeah, don't listen to anybody.
So Dina here has had some bat mitzvahs. So who did you use here, Dina?
I had 2 bat mitzvahs in one bar. I used Flow Entertainment for two of them.
How you gonna not use Energy Productions, dog?
Oh no, we interviewed and my girls kind of fell in love with China, so we made a pact. And then I think we used A to Z maybe for my son.
Well, you missed out because you didn't.
Out,
Nigel would have spun on his head for you.
Wait, I feel like you need to, for some of the audience members who may not understand the significance of Ba and Bat mitzvahs, explain a little bit more about it. What, what is the whole thing about hiring hosts and DJs
and also, I wasn't just like a break dancer, Karen. I just, let me break dance for you and spin on my head.
Oh, I know, but that was amazing that you did that. So explain that, Nigel. Tell us about being a host at a bar and bat mitzvah. Like, what was that job?
I'm black, so I did not necessarily understand all the nuance of.
Yes, you do. You know the prayers. Go ahead.
I do know the prayers, but from the religious aspect, you know, this is based off Judaism. So I'm not, privy. I'm not the one you would want to talk to and ask about this. I don't know.
I know.
I knew what time the dinner was. I knew I was good at my job. So whatever I was doing, I wanted to make sure I was the most, like I said, the most informed about it. So I wasn't just, it's like, okay, this is a very important time in a child's life where they become a man, and this is like something sacred that's been, celebrated for hundreds of years. I'm not just going to be like, all right, dinner's ready. I'm gonna take the same serious. When it's fun, but when the moment is time, you wanted to make sure that, like, being a host is about, showcasing or kind of rallying the energy, right? Everything is based off of how I direct them. So in the room, if it's party time, I'm like, yeah, hands in the air. But when it's time for the prayer, my voice calms down. I tell people what time, the energy changes in the room. It's like, okay, it's time to set this tone for this beautiful moment. So it's not, ruined in any capacity. So I was like, what can I do to make sure that this is right? So I learned the prayers. I learned about what I was doing. So I knew how to take, care of it.
That was amazing. Dina, what's your question for Nigel?
So we got the privilege when you were in the car with us. I saw lots of tattoos.
Yeah, I got a couple of them.
Yeah, can you show us and talk to us a little bit? Yeah, tell us the story or stories of the ink.
Maybe your favorite.
There's not kids on this show, right?
No, you can talk. It's explicit.
Okay, good.
You can put a warning on it, Karen.
Yeah, put the parental advisory sign on this.
It's in the explicit section of the podcast. We say fuck, shit, alcohol.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I like cussing. I like it as like an ideology or a genre. Like I don't like cussing because of the way it makes you feel. I just think it's the best way to describe some emotion.
Mm-hmm. I agree. There's certain times where it needs that word.
You just you can't say forget you, man. Like it doesn't work.
Right.
I don't know. I when I first started getting tattooed, I thought I wanted a sleeve. I wanted just like an arm of tattoos. And then I got one and was like, this will sound very unpopular to say, but it wasn't that serious. Like I used to work at a tattoo shop. The tattoo shop that I got, my first tattoo, I started hanging out with the guys. A bunch of them became my friends. So all of my friends were tattoo artists. One of them ended up owning a shop. So I got a job working there. And it's like, oh, my 5 o'clock didn't show up. You want a tattoo? Sure. Yeah. So I was just jacking any tattoos I can get. I mean, I picked what I wanted, but it was like they would offer it up or whatever. And of course I paid for some and whatnot. And then when I became kind of famous, then it was like, hey, you want tattoos? Yes, I do. Getting tattoos
you have friendship. You have friendship.
Yeah, I got friendship right here. And I think right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that represents
everything in my life.
Right.
It represented a change in my life. Okay, so I do have some tattoos. They're pretty basic. Chicago is one of my first ones because I'm very, very proud to be from the city. I went from being I don't want to put this in the wrong way. It wasn't negative, right? I wasn't negative, but I definitely would seek out. If somebody, say we were at a bar and somebody was picking on a guy, I would be like, fight me, motherfucker. I'm the one. Don't pick on him. You can't, he can't do nothing. Do that to me. I was about that energy. I was always ready to rock. I was always getting arrested, fighting all the time. I love guns. So, what are we going to do? You know what I mean? They're like, this dude's too crazy. But I started to notice that, I developed this tough guy reputation, and it wasn't it was whack. It was damn, it got to the point where I'd be out and some dude would just be trying to be like, damn, man, I just got my drink. I just want to drink it. Leave me alone. I don't even feel like fighting today. You know what I mean? You work out a long shift. You're like, oh, I got to beat this dude up. Or oh, somebody come, man, my boy over here. Da, da, da. I was the guy that you would call. They'd be like, oh, I'm going to call my boy. You're going to come over here and fuck this up. That was me. So I would show up and fuck everything up. But, sometimes, I was hungover or something. I don't want to fight or whatever. Anyway, the point is I started to notice that the energy that I was exuding is all I was attracting. because I was always fucking tough guying it up, that's all the energy, that's all the people that were around me. And I was like, man, I need to like switch this shit the fuck up. And I just started leaning on my friendships, like leaning on the good parts of why I would beat motherfuckers up. I would be like, because I love my friends, so I'm just gonna kick it with them. And I was like, nah, you know, I would started squashing beefs and like, I just started saying friendship all the time. Like Karen will tell you, I've been saying friendship for like 15 years. And ever since I started that, it like changed my whole life. Like, just, I'm always trying to be positive. I'm always trying to bring positive energy to me. And that's what I get now. My life is great now. Now I'm like successful. I own a house. I have a beautiful child and a wife. I'm like, my friends are good. Nobody I know is in jail. Like, we're chilling, right? And I feel like it's just kind of whatever energy you put out into the world is what you get back. And so I just started putting out friendship. And then and now I own a brand called Friendship Club.
And where's the picture of my husband? I'm kidding. Where's the tattoo of Eric?
Like bacon face? Like, hell no.
Okay. So we got to get into your career. Okay, so you started out as a rapper.
Yes.
Then...
yes, I did start. Man, I forget how long you've known me, bro. Like literally like the...
Well, you wrote a song for my 40th birthday.
You just keep stunting on him, G. She's like, yeah, he wrote a song.
I'm like memory lane. Like, remember
this
that?
This is before I was any type of famous.
You were a rapper, but then you transitioned to more punk, right?
Yeah. Well, so yes and no, because you, like I said, you know me. I've always been punk, like always. Yeah. But the music I was making wasn't punk because I'm from the South Side of Chicago, and it was like you were saying earlier, like people try to put you in the like, oh, well, we don't do that over here, or we're from this space, or maybe you should just be like this. So I was never, I was listening to the Clash and Bad Brains and the Ramones, and you know, since I was like 14 years old, but nobody in my neighborhood was listening to that shit. Like nobody. I just liked it, and my father is like this eclectic genius who can play every instrument. So I'm listening to what was on the radio, Tupac and Ice Cube and just normal hood shit. And then inside the house, my dad was playing Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix, and like those are his bands. And my mama black, she you know, she listening to all the black great oldies and whatnot. So like, I just had this different style of music growing up all the time. And so I never once thought, oh, I'm gonna just listen to one thing or only be one thing. But when I started making music, one, I hid the fact that I was listening to punk rock this whole time because I didn't understand that there was a culture behind it. I just thought it was music like metal or whatever. But I was like, this punk shit is the only thing that matches my brain, my energy. Like, I never heard no music that like sounded like my brain is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was like, I just liked it because of what it was, just the music. And then obviously as an adult, you learn that there's a whole culture and world behind it that I should have been in the whole fucking time. But when I was coming up, when I started making music, my cousin made beats, my other homies rap. I was good at rapping. To me, it was a simple thing, like to just like mathematically put words together in rhythm and then rhyme them wasn't shit for me. I could do that shit all day. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm a rap. And then also I saw dudes rapping about being gangsters and all this who wasn't doing none of that shit. And I'm like, I'm really doing it. So I'm legit. I can definitely rap about this. So then I became a rapper, but accidentally, even when I was rapping, my punk energy was all over my shows. I was one of the first people to crowd surf as a rapper. Like nobody was doing that before me, but I didn't even put two and two together. I just would watch punk shows and be like, I'm gonna do that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to jump in the crowd. I want to go fucking crazy. So I'd have these rap songs, but the show was just psycho. So, and then once I got comfortable and I started traveling, I went to Japan. I started going all over the world. I started to see like, oh, I don't have to just be this one thing. I can do whatever the fuck I want. and I just started doing whatever the fuck I want. And one of the first beats I ever made was an Amy Winehouse one.
And then tell us about Kanye. How did that?
So I've known Kanye forever, like just being around, you know what I mean? Because he's from Chicago and whatnot. I was just in Atlanta for his album listening party, and I realized, I was like, I've been to every single album listening party he's ever had from his first album, period. Like, and when you're from Chicago and you're in music, you're gonna cross paths, especially when he was a smaller artist at the time. So like, but he was obviously bigger than us, but we built our own scene. And like, I didn't get signed to Kanye till way later, but I knew him before I was even like rapping. Mm-hmm. And so when I first got my first deal as a rapper, you know, it wasn't through them or anything. I built my own thing. So they just saw me working and doing my thing. And then I got stuck in a bad record deal for like 5 years. It was whack. Life up. And then I transitioned into making the music that I wanted to make. You know, I was rapping, but then like I'd have the whole beat, all the music in my head. I'm listening to the song in my head, but I'm not executing it because I'm like, oh, I don't know how to use Logic or whatever program, so I guess I'm not a producer. But it's like I was a composer and I had the idea. I just didn't know how to physically do it. I didn't know that all these motherfuckers was hiring guitar players. You know what I'm saying? I was pissed. I just didn't know. So once I figured it out, I was like, oh, that I'm gonna make the music that I want to make, right? So I started making shit. And the Amy Winehouse cover, I was like, man, it just needs more guitar, and I want to put some gangster drums on it. So I was like, I'm gonna just do a cover of it. So I covered it, I sang it, and I just made this really dope beat and whatnot. And then randomly, I saw Kanye in New York, and he invited me to the studio. Long story short, he played me Watch the Throne. I played him the songs I was working on, and when he heard the Amy Winehouse song, he was like, what the f-? He totally thought it was the shit, and I was super hyped because it's Kanye, like, and also validated, like, okay, I'm not tripping, this is dope, like, it's not just me, right? So he loved it, and then long story short, he bought it from me, and then they started working on it and put it in the Great Gatsby movie because it was a cover. They wanted to have somebody else cover it. I mean, it didn't matter to me because I didn't own the song anyway. And then this actually, and the funny thing is, Amy Winehouse was alive during all of this. And yeah, because I had met her. The reason why, yeah. And the reason why I covered one of her songs is because I met her. She was playing. I get it mixed up because festivals are all like one memory in my brain. Like it's 12 festivals in one in my head. But it was either the year before or after I played, or the year I did play. And her trailer was by my trailer, and she was just like outside hanging out. She was cool as fuck. Like she was mad. She was out of there. She was super skinny and like you could tell it was fucked up in the game. But she was such a cool motherfucker. And I was like, damn, man, you cool as hell. Like, chill. Right? Like, and then after that, obviously, because she was so cool and I was already a fan, you know, it just sparked in my head, like, you know, I'm gonna do on her. Once I met her, I knew that she would like it. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, I'm gonna cover this shit, and just not in any capacity to like send to her. I just was gonna do it. So I did it, and then I never got to put it out because Kanye heard it before I even released it. He bought it. He put it in the Great Gatsby movie. He got Andre 3000, Beyonce on it. Jay-Z put it in the soundtrack of the Great Gatsby movie. Boom, your boy's a producer. Like, it was nuts.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Camille, do you have a question?
I talk a lot, I know.
No, it's okay. Well, I was just thinking, like, when you coming with songs, you were kind of sharing how you go about composing, but in a way, I'm curious, like, how do songs come to you? Like, what is your process as far as making new songs, or even with designing clothes? Yeah. Like, how does that first process start for you?
You know, I'm a firm believer in everybody being able to do everything if they try, right? But there are some things that are unexplainable. Like, I'll be fucking walking down the street and I'll just start whistling something. It'll just come out of my mouth without any thought. And I'll be like, oh, that's dope. And I'll run to the house and I'll try to put it on keys or whatever. Or, you know, I'll see a color or a movie or someone's, you know, the way, hear a conversation and it'll spark. Like sometimes I think of a piece of content to write about. Sometimes I hear a melody. Sometimes it's, you know, I do weird shit like this. I'll look at that painting behind you and go, what would that sound like as a song, right? And the first thing I think of is low strings, right? And I'll start playing low strings, looking at the painting and go, all right, no, I don't sound like that. Like, but I'm crazy, right? So, but that's how I go about things. I'm like, how do I turn this shirt into a feeling or an opinion? Like if I want to make I'll make a shirt out of an aggressive feeling, right? So I'll be like, man, I'm angry. I want to design some shit. I'll design a red vest with mad pockets in it to hold mad shit in it. You know what I mean? Because it just reflects like what is the guy who's finna go fight look like? I'm gonna make that jacket. You know what I mean? So it just comes from all over the place. There's no like one process, because I feel like a lot of artists, they start like me. They just like let the energy flow through them how it's supposed to. And then when you get in the industry, the longer you start working, you develop processes. And that's why a lot of these bands who you love back in the day, they knew shit sound generic, because now they got this producer and this guy from Sweden who worked on this guy's album before, blah, blah, blah. He's a legend. And it all ends up sounding like the same shit. I just let it free flow. Like sometimes I made 5 songs in one day one time. And then sometimes it'll take me 2 months. I just gotta let it ride.
Camille actually has her own podcast called The E-Spot, and she interviews entertainers, right?
Fire.
So she may reach out to you after this.
Yeah, hit me up, dude.
Dina, do you have a question for Nigel?
My question is, what currently are you listening to or loving or
I'm actually listening to a lot of stuff. I'm big on, I don't get tired of music, right? Like I'm the guy that can play the song 40 times in a row and you'll be like, please stop playing this. That's me. Mm-hmm. So it's always a mixture of stuff and always trying to discover some shit. New artists, and this new kid I just found, because he kind of represents like a punk energy. It's not necessarily really about the music. It sounds weird to say that, but it's like he reflects his energy and his personality well through music, but it's like a lot more than that. He's like a Basquiat. And his name is Tizo Touchdown. And he's got like long braids. And he's got nails, like real nails, all through his braids. And he just like makes like pop punk, post-punk music. And it's really dope stuff. And like he was on Tyler, the Creator's new album, which is fire. I'm big on like genre bending music, right? So when I was coming up, I really loved Santa Gold. She's fire. MIA. Who else? Like the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, one of my favorite bands ever of all time. Anything that has no specific rule to what it is, right? Like it could have hard guitars in it, it could have 808 drums in it, like anything that's just like a bop where you can bob your head and it sounds good. So I really liked Tyler, the Creator's. I love his new album, but his last album, the Igor, it's like a composition like of like amazing music. It's like not even a genre base, and he got like best rapper award, which it wasn't no rap shit, but it was amazing. So yeah, I'm just listening to I'm trying to think of like who I'm listening to new currently that's dope. But yeah, Tizo Touchdown. I'm listening to there's this like new Russian new wave music scene happening. Oh, and there's like a huge Australian punk scene that is fire. Like this is band called Amyl, AMYL, Amyl and the Sniffers, and it sounds like some classic fucking hard ass punk rock. It sounds like some Black Flag shit, but the singer is a female, and her voice is insane, bro. No one's touching this girl. She's just full raw energy. Like, it's like the best shit I've discovered. Them, and then the other thing is, it's hard for me to say this, though, because I'm friends with a lot of these bands. So it's like, yes, I'm a fan of them, but they're also my homies. Like, right. So I've been listening to Turnstile, but those are my guys. But they're about to put out a new album, which is fire as hell, too. So, yeah.
So no Motown, right?
What you mean, bro? I got the greatest.
No, because you remember when we were trying to pick our music, I was specific. Nothing against Motown. I just didn't want the same kind. I was like,
yeah. If I heard My Girl one more fucking time at the like, well, nah, that's that bar mitzvah shit though. They play all of the same songs.
Yeah.
You know, like sprinkling a couple of new ones, but like, what's that? Fill me up, buttercup. I was like, God damn, like, switch it up.
Okay, so I have to just ask you here, I don't mean to turn the emotion here, but I know you went through a dry spell. You know, you said like you went through a rough time at one point in your life. But during that time, you met your wife, you had your son. So for our listeners,
I was lit when I met Jackie.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
No, right after that.
My timing is wrong. But the point is that many of us, all the listeners, viewers, we all go through shit, right? There's always something, but the whole point is picking yourself up again. That's the hardest part. So tell us about that.
And so I've always been naturally angry. Like, I was fighting this shit. Like, I've always just been like a scrappy dude, and I was never afraid of that shit. But like we said before, I needed to change my energy. But I didn't believe that, anger was, something negative, if that makes sense, right? I think it's how you use it, right? And I am an angry motherfucker, but I turn the anger into art, or I turn the anger into like, I use anger to validate some shit. Like, that shit ain't real. You know what I mean? Like, nah, that shit fake. Like, if you make like some bullshit music that's not on your heart, I'm gonna call that shit out. And it comes from an anger space, right? But not negatively. So when I had just signed. I'd signed for and got stuck in a deal for 5 years, and I couldn't put out any music. And I took, Kid Cudi is?
Yeah, I didn't know that about the 5-year. Okay.
Yeah, so yes. Kid Cudi and I started at the exact same time. We had a co-headline tour. It was me and him. We started at the same time. We both signed deals, but he signed the Good Music, and I signed at his other label, and he went off, and I was stuck for 5 years in this. So where I was supposed to be, I didn't get till way later because I was stuck and shit, and I was mad as and like. But even then, I was always making it happen and hustling and whatnot. But you go through these really sad moments where you see the guys in your space or guys that started after you headlining tours, and you're like, motherfucker, like, you know what I mean? But it wasn't until Kanye bought me out of that deal, and then I signed to Good Music. I met my wife. I was popping. I was doing all these shows. It was super dope. She got pregnant. I had my son. It was great. Shit was good. I moved to LA, and then I got to LA, and I realized the scenario that I was in wasn't necessarily what they sold me on, right? Mm-hmm. So the support that I was supposed to have, I didn't have. I had the money that I was supposed to get, but I didn't get the team that I was supposed to have. I didn't get I thought I was gonna like be in this deal and this shit was gonna happen, and it was like, nope, same bullshit. And then thinking that you were past that point from coming out of 5 years of no music, I was like, fuck. So I just took matters into my own hands. I was like, I don't care. I'm gonna just start making an album, and I just started making shit and whatnot. And then I made an album, and I played it for some of the people that I need to play it for, and they were like, nah, this doesn't sound dope. And it was like, from that moment when I got I never knew what depression was. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know that, because I was like, I told somebody, I'm like, I'm not sad, but I just want to lay on the floor and never get up, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to die, but I just feel like I'm at the bottom of a pool and I just want to stay there and not breathe, not do nothing, just be there. And my guy was like, fam, that's depression. I was like, yeah, that is depression. And I was mad depressed because it was whack. I'm like, my whole life, you work. I'm working. I saw myself working 10 times harder than the next person. So I'm like, it's gonna pay off. And then when you get to the moment where you think it pays off, it's behind the door is some more bullshit. And then you got to keep swimming, and you keep swimming, and then you just want to stop swimming. You just want to be like, God damn, what the f- do I have to do, right? So I was mad depressed because I thought the music was dope, and these motherfuckers telling me it wasn't dope. And then I was just basically laying in the bottom of the pool, and then I got angry and was like, these niggas, I'm about to snap. Everybody know that. Get your ass up out of the fucking water. Let's get back to work. They don't like it. They can kiss my ass. I'm going to put this shit out anyway. And if everyone hates it, I'm going to tell everyone to shut the fuck up, and I'm going to make another album. I just got so mad and was like, this shit, I'm not, yeah.
But good for you. I mean,
yeah. And I reworked the album, and they loved it. Because I went back in that room like, I'm putting this shit out anyway. So if you don't like it, you. And I hit play. And they were like, this is amazing.
I have a quote. I have a few different quotes, but one I found, I have a great disdain for anyone living a lie, people who steal other people's creativity or looks, people who say things and don't stand behind their word, people who aren't real.
Right.
You said that. And
that's me?
Yes.
Damn, my snap. Where's that from?
I don't know. I just went through a bunch of old interviews that you had. And I mean, you said here, I want to smash the stereotype that you can't be the best at everything. I use anger to push me through stuff.
Yeah.
This one you said earlier, I love one. You asked yourself one day, what are the things you never get tired of doing? I love that. Like, I've used that on my adult kids, because when they're trying to figure out what they want, and I say, if there were no restrictions at all, what would you be doing?
Yeah.
So I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
The point is, every time that you think you're going to win, if it doesn't pan out that way, keep going. And the last point that I wanted to say about this is, once I discovered this space of like, that I'm not going out like that, I'm getting out of the water, I'm never going to feel that way again, because now I know I've gone through it. I know I can get my ass up again, right? And I'm like, now I know I'm bulletproof. Now I know ain't shit you can tell me. I'm going to make it happen for real now. And then when I started to have these conversations with some of my other friends that were in the industry that are a lot more famous than me, they tell me their story, and it's the same shit. You think that artists like make music, blow up, and now boom, they're famous. It's like, no, it's this and then this and then this and then this. It's nonstop up and down. Like, when I heard some of the shit that David Bowie went through, like, what the fuck? He went from #1 song to no money to, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know what the process is. And that's what I had to understand, is like, the outside looking in just thinks I'm lit. So I am lit, because the idea of fame is not, it's not as simple as people make it out to be. So that's all I got to say. Everybody out there, just keep going.
Keep going. And then what advice would you give for people to get into the flow? It sounds like what you said, like, just if you could do anything without restrictions. Yeah. Is that how people can get into their flow? Like,
the flow of what?
Of what their passion is.
You just, man, honestly, and this is unfortunate, and I don't want to sound like I'm dissing anybody, but dude, the parents and the older generations with kids, stop fucking telling them they can't do shit. Like, shut the fuck up. Let them try it and discover it. Because a lot of times you might have the greatest bass player of all time in your house, and you don't know, because you are afraid of them failing.
Yeah.
so bad that they're not going to have success, that you talk them out of taking a risk. And my thing is like, it's really based off of the system that you were raised in. If you're a parent and you're a good parent and you love your children and you work hard, then that's how they're going to be. I'm not the way I am because of school. I'm the way I am because of my parents. I'm exactly like my dad, but I took more risks. I'm a super version of my father, right? And I know my son is going to be a super version of me because
he's a mini you already.
That's my point. But I'm not going to, if he gets into video gaming, go fucking crazy. All that you should do is let them know what are the pitfalls. Go, okay, if you want to be a professional yo-yo player, that's fine, but look up how much a professional yo-yo player makes a year and weigh maybe another idea. You know what I mean?
Or it may want to be a side hustle and not the main.
Just something like breakdancing, right? I was a professional breakdancer for a long time, and it made me no money at all. Like I was broke, but I loved it so much. And guess what? I still breakdance for fun. Like you can have a passion and be super passionate about it, but you don't have to make it your career. And I know that most people, like I said, most people just want you to succeed in life, but they're basing it off of their own parameters of what they're afraid of what success can and can't be. And a lot of times, that shit is very impressionable on a kid who could have probably been the next John Lennon, but you told him, oh yeah, well don't, that it's a 1 in a million shot. And also stop fucking talking about shit that you don't know. I don't listen to anybody who's not successful in what they're talking about. Soon as I started making music, oh man, you better watch out, man. The industry's full of snakes. How the do you know? Yeah. You over here with me. You're not in the industry.
Assumptions. People make assumptions.
So like, it's really about people are going to naturally come into their flow. It's really about the community around them encouraging it. Don't fucking discourage them into doing shit, because sometimes you just need to get hyped up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do it all on your own. So it's really that answer is not for the artist or the person who's into their idea. And if you feel like what you're doing is right, and motherfuckers are telling you, don't do it, stop sharing that with them. Like, you know how many times I made a song and somebody was like, I don't know, bro. I'm like, cool, never playing your music again.
Well, you've taught us so much today, Nigel. You are the goddess of flow and resilience and energy, hyper energy, and go and just keep swimming Nemo, right? Now you have a son, he watches Nemo, right? Just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
Yes, facts. That's real though. They can apply that to all areas of life.
Let's change that. Just keep swimming. Okay, don't make fun.
Oh, wait. Let's get him to play on his guitar. Just keep swimming. Or something else, because he did promise that he would play us something.
I'm not going to play fucking Nemo, but I will.
No. Thanks. I don't think they have a song, do they?
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Thank you.
I have a question for you.
Me?
Being that your name is Karen.
Oh shit! Don't go there. We've talked about this. What about
it? I want to talk about it. Being that your name is Karen and that you're not a Karen, how does it feel maneuvering through life right now, being a white woman named Karen in this climate?
Well, funny you should say that, because Camille and I did an interview. I interviewed Camille and we talked about that. Right, Camille? I think we did. Because my kids, I didn't even realize, they're like, Mom, you need to change your name.
Hell no.
And I realized that I don't act like that, Karen.
Nah, hell no.
Well, there's times I do ask for the manager. I do. And it's legit. I ask because there's a problem, right? Every time. But when I ask, my kids are like, Mom, no. And
Come on, like
and
two.
they're like, what's your name, ma'am? And we'll tell them. I'm like, Julie. I'm not saying my name's Karen.
Bro.
Honestly, I don't like any kind of discrimination. And if that's...
I know that. Well, you wouldn't even be on the phone with me if that was the case. Like,
I know, but I just feel like that, but in the same vein, that Karen is not a very good type of person to...
Yeah. Karens are trash, but real Karens are great.
Real Karens. I think you can't judge a book by its cover. You gotta get to know a person. And
dude, there's gotta be like a group of Karens for good, like actual women named Karen.
There is. Taylor, my daughter, found a Facebook group. She wants me to join it. I'm like, no, I'm
join
not.
That shit.
No.
Up next, favorite things. Opening up to happiness and joy.
Welcome, everyone, to Favorite Things with our guest, Nigel Holt, otherwise known as Holt. And
Hi.
We are here to do an adult show and tell. And we're going to talk about the things that make us happy, because just as Nigel said, when you are focusing on negative shit, then you're going to get that back, right? So we put out stuff that makes us happy, and it could be a product, a ritual, anything. So Dina, what did you bring today?
So my friend just sent me this sweatshirt for my birthday. It's by a brand called The Great.
Fire.
It is the most comfortable sweatshirt. It's 90 degrees in Chicago. I'm inside, so it's cool, but I am living in this. Can't take it off.
Probably French terry, isn't it?
What's that?
Probably French terry, isn't it?
No, I don't think so. No, it's just really good and cozy and warm, and I highly recommend if you want to splurge on a sweatshirt.
Yeah, Great. I saw those. They're pricey, but they're
it's probably French terry. French terry is the best, most comfortable sweatshirt fabric you can get.
I gotta look that up here.
Okay, Camille.
I can see from my eyes because I make clothes.
Camille, what did you bring?
100% cotton.
Yeah, French terry is just how it's woven.
Oh, well, let's call it French terry because that sounds fancy and heavenly.
It is.
Camille, what'd you bring?
All right, so I brought two products. I'm kind of a snob about eyebrows. And so I got this new product that works really, really well about eyebrows and mascara. So I wanted to share Trestique eyebrows. It comes with the pencil built into it. And that's what I use to fill in and to cover up. I'm now getting gray eyebrows. So on the other side, there's gel with color. So it helps cover that up too. So I'm sharing that.
I'm kidding.
You don't need this yet. But you might.
I need a haircut.
Pretty much. So on that same token, mascaras, being that I haven't worked that much anymore as a model. I'm not offended by that. But you still, a lot of times you're taking clothes off and on a lot, and you end up getting flakes with lashes and so on. So I start finding mascaras that don't flake, and this is a great one, and I feel like it does a really great job, and it's cheap. So it's Lash Paradise by L'Oreal. It's only $12 compared to department stores that are $26 and don't do as well.
Lit.
Very cool.
Those are my two.
Thank you for sharing that. My favorite, I love to look at old home videos, and I highly recommend this. We had Nigel, you're looking for a favorite, right?
I have so many to share.
I know, so you keep thinking. But I want you to pay attention to this because I took a bunch of old CDs, and I highly recommend doing this to get them transferred so that they're all on the cloud, right? Yeah. So I did share this with hold on, I gotta get it.
Stop.
Go Nigel, go.
Boo.
Go, why? Look at you.
I'm a rapper, singer now.
Is this from the bar mitzvah?
Yes.
You're killing his street cred, Karen.
No, my street cred is untouchable, but.
Okay, I'm sorry, but listen, you came from that. That's your.
This is your thing you're sharing.
I'm sharing.
We're showing products, and you're like, look, breakdance.
Yes, because you inspire me. You can still do these moves.
Yo,
and
literally today.
13 years later.
Yeah.
I mean, you are a badass. You can still do. I mean, you just inspire me so much. So yes, if you want me to take this out, I will.
No, go crazy.
Gonna ruin your image.
We set in too.
I just love. Well, my point is old videos, and they can bring you back to those times. And this brought me back to why we love you so much, Nigel. So we love your energy and your enthusiasm. No, and you're just such an amazing individual, human being, just with an amazing soul. So you're up now. What's your favorite?
All right. My thing that I brought today.
Ooh.
Is a little baby guitar.
Wow.
Because he's so cute. Because he wants to be just like me, and now he has his own little guitar rack, and it's a ripper, and it's a real guitar.
Wait, that's Lennox. That's your son's guitar?
This is Lennox's guitar. Yeah.
Oh
and I brought this in the house, and he just burst into confetti. He was the happiest kid on earth.
I love that.
And it was just so dope because, like, it just brings me a different level of joy. You know what I mean? Like, I can't explain the happiness I get when he, like, every day it's like a new toy to him. He's like, I can play it. I'm like, yeah, dude, go crazy. He's like, ah. So yes, baby guitar.
Can I show a picture of your son, or would you rather it not be on?
No, that's fine.
Okay, so hold on.
Was that made for him? I mean, I don't.
No, it's just they make kids guitars.
Yeah, I just didn't know because it looks like a rock star.
No,
guitar doesn't look like the traditional ones you see at Guitar Center.
Use it
for kids.
So here we have my husband, my son, Nigel's son, and they're like mini me's of them, right? So
except for this fool is big as hell.
Hair.
Lots of
I need to adopt that burst into confetti statement. I love that.
Right?
I've never heard that before, but that is just like the perfect way of explaining.
Yeah, right.
Excitement.
It's like poof, like
I hope our viewers and listeners out there are bursting into confetti after they hear this episode. And if people want to contact you, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Holt Music, HXLT Music on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. HoltMusic.com. Holt Music.
You know, because you're gonna get a whole new audience of people.
I'm knowing I'm about to blow up.
And I am too, because you're gonna promote me. So we're gonna just bring us all together.
Huge. Let's go.
So thank you for joining us on Grateful Goddesses.
Unleashed your inner goddess yet? Thanks for joining us today on Grateful Goddesses. We invite you to visit our website, www.gratefulgoddesses.com, to access today's show notes as well as other helpful resources. Don't forget to leave a review. Until next time, stay strong and empowered to be a grateful goddess.